Hello everyone, thanks for joining me. So for today's scenario, I deal in notionals a lot. This is a life cycle analysis with emphasis on the visualization. So I plan to do a whole series on this. So for this scenario, or for this notional scenario, a mid-sized industrial manufacturer just won a government contract and needs to purchase a small fleet of 10 to 12 or so of these telehandler forklifts. But in order to fully frame and budget all expenditures over the contract period, which is 5 years, they need to first perform a predictive analysis on the life cycle of this equipment. So you, as the analyst, find a public data set through Google BigQuery or whatever public data set that you use most often or you have luck with. You find a data set from a company with a similar fleet that they just so happened to purchase in 2015. So that's great news because that means there's about 7 years of data. You're able to download the CSV file, and you do see that around year 3 to 5 on the CSV file or an Excel spreadsheet that the operating costs matched or even exceeded the allocated service budget for this fleet. So you're thinking around, you need to build a compelling argument. You're on a very tight timeline. You don't have a lot of time, but you've got to build a compelling argument. So you look around at what are some of the platforms that you can use. And while I've used Tableau, I had that for one of my courses, and I've also used ggplot. Here's ggplot2. This was an interesting one. ggplot2 is the data visualization component or the tool within RStudio. So when we learned R programming for the Google course, at the end we had a couple of projects, and this was one where we actually it was a penguin, a 3 penguin species visualization that we measured flipper length against body mass, and so you can see there's 3 penguins there on the right side on the key. So pretty good visualization. Tableau is a little bit more complex. I don't have an example from Tableau, but you can make more dynamic visualizations with Tableau. Power BI seems to be that middle of the road, and I noticed that a lot of governments use that. But my previous organization was a local government, and they used Power BI exclusively. So let's take a look. So obviously the very first thing we need to do, this is Power BI opened up. I just have the desktop. I don't have an actual seat or a license, so I just use the desktop, and that's fine for most applications. And if you get on with your organization and they sign with Microsoft exclusively, then you're going to definitely get a license. You'll have a seat, which gives you a lot more functionality. So the first thing to do, of course, is to get the data. And so I need a CSV file, so got those in my documents. And then here's the preview. The navigator gives you a preview, so you see what's being uploaded, and that is, in fact, the CSV file. It's really small. I condensed it, so it's just a year. It's very simple. The funds that were allocated by year from 2015 to 2022. You can see 2023 through 2025. There were funds allocated, but of course no expenditures because that's in the future. And then the actual expenditure to maintain the fleet for these years, for all of these service years. And then once the data loads, you're going to be working out of the right panes here. You've got 3. You've got the filter, visualizations, and then fields. And then right here on the far right, you can see this is where your data will load. So we'll open this up, and then you will check. So I've got 3. So I've got 3 variables, 2 numeric and 1 categoric. And then so Power BI is going to automatically just pick a type of visualization that it thinks fits, but we all know that for when you're going to measure allocated expenses versus actual, probably the best would be to use the line chart. So you just click that right here in the second pane, expand that out. And then I like to actually add in a title first. So you'll insert, you can do it however you want to do it. I like to insert a text box and then just put my title up there real quick. And so now we're going to actually populate the visualization. So we all know that time is always going to be on the x-axis. So you can see right here in the middle pane right here, I went ahead and collapsed filters. I'll just simply drag year down to x-axis. And you'll see that populate below. And then for my y-axis, I've already got some of actual and some of allocated. I don't want year on there, so I'll go ahead and X out of that. Because I want to keep year along the x-axis. Now's the time we can have a little bit of fun with it. So let's go ahead and format the visual a little bit. So we've got the basics, we've got the x and y-axis set up. So we go to the center within the visualization. By the way, the filters collapses, we'll clean that up later as well. But within visualizations, we go to the center, format your visual, and then I just like to go straight down the line and then just check, turn things on, turn things off, just play around with it. I like to have the slider on, so turn the slider on. So decide what looks good for you. This is your visualization, so the colors seem to work for me. I don't need anything that stands out too much, but already the markers, let's go ahead and turn the markers on. That's going to be relevant later. I'll show you why. Data labels, let's go ahead and turn labels on. Series labels, yes, we want series labels. Plot area background. Okay, so we can put an image in here. I mean, it's really, you can get really cute with this thing. There's a lot of functionality built into Power BI. It's a pretty powerful platform, actually. Oh, we lost our place here. Let's go back to the plot area background. So we can go and I have a picture here. Let's see, telehandler. Insert that. Let's make it fit. So I took the image out. Let's go ahead and focus on the so what from this visualization. And once again, this visualization probably would not be executive level CEO. This would be something you would want to show your supervisor, your manager, or for you to use yourself to do a little bit deeper dive. So if we take a look at, and we break this down a little bit and really look at it, so we know aquamarine is the sum of the actual expenditure for service for maintaining this fleet of 12 telehandlers. And then the navy blue is the sum of the allocated. So that was the, according to the algorithm established by OEM and established by prior historical data that goes into the algorithm that's established by the engineers. They came up with a figure, gave it to the mercantors, works with finance, and coming up with an allocated expenditure per year. You see that it holds fast pretty well through year 2. In fact, we even save a little money here in the first year. You know that because it's new equipment, no problem. It's still serviceable. It's serviceable up until about year 3. And right about 3, you start to see an incline, an increase in expenditure. And it's a 5-year contract, right? So here is year 5. So you better believe that leaders are going to want to know what's going on right here at year 5. So let's take a look at that and do a deep dive. And Power BI can really help you with that. So if we right-click on it, we can analyze it, explain the increase. So there was a 23.08% increase in sum of actual between 2019 and 2020. So that gives you quick help in a pinch if the boss wants to know something. You can populate this after you do your own analysis, but you're going to want to find out what happened there. There was probably some major equipment failure. Maybe a couple of engines had to be purchased that year. Even right here between year 4 and 5, there was a steady increase. So you'd want to do some investigation into this as well. After year 5, it's less relevant, but things seem to stabilize a bit for that last year, for year 6 and up until 7. But you can also, if you're in a presentation mode and you need to show as a table because perhaps that's the style of the presentation or they just want to see it, you can show as a table if you right-click on any one of those points along the plot line. Back to the report. So once again, this is just a very cursory look at some basic capabilities within Power BI. Certainly not anything too complex or too difficult. We threw this together in just a few minutes, really with very little knowledge of Power BI. Not too much operational experience. It's a very capable platform, and I think would be very helpful. So thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoyed. I do plan to get into some of the other platforms a little bit more. I did enjoy RStudio, and I enjoyed ggplot2, which is actually grammar graphics. I got this cheat sheet. So ggplot2 is based on the grammar of graphics. So that's what GG stands for. The idea that you can build every graph from the same components, a data set, a coordinate system, and geomes. And so that lets you get into some more statistical functions within data visualization. So that'll be a lot of fun. It's a little more difficult to get some of them because you've actually got to write code to build those out, but still a lot of fun. And then as well, I do plan to get into Tableau. So you can build some super dynamic visualizations, and there's a great community around both RStudio and R, as well as Tableau. Some really good group communities. So there's a lot of help out there, and there's no reason why you can't become experts in these fields. So get out there, enjoy data visualizations, and I'll see you next time.